Hello, and welcome to another podcast for Another Woman's Story. My name is Cheryl Patton Dandridge. I am the founder of Another Woman's Story, and our organization is designed to help survivors of domestic violence by having a conversation, by keeping it real in our conversations, and really telling the truth and being transparent about our journeys. It's also designed to help those of you who may be in a current situation, in a domestic violence situation, to just get the information that you need and hopefully, prayerfully, get out as soon as you can and get the support that you need by those who are in authority to assist, as well as those who have been through it like I have, to help walk you through that journey. So tonight, we have a special guest, Mr. Leon Walker. He was with us last month for our Let's Talk Tuesdays, and you guys were blowing our phones up, blowing up our chat room, talking about narcissistic abuse, narcissistic people, narcissistic personality disorder. Leon and I talked about a few things. And as always, we like to keep the conversation organic, right? So we're looking for you to chime in. If there's some questions that you want answered, if there's some things that you want to say, ways to get it off your chest. Tonight is the night. And so we're going to actually go back a little bit and start from the beginning. But I wanted to share with you a little bit of information about narcissism, about narcissistic abuse, about some of the things that we discussed last time. So I think what I'll do first is I want to show you a clip. I had a guest on my show recently who talked about being traumatized with narcissistic abuse. She talked about her spouse, but she's also now a trauma coach. But I just wanted to play a little bit of a clip so you can kind of hear what the effects are from a person who suffered from narcissistic abuse. So let's play that really quick. Under the radar. It's under the radar.
So under the radar. Most of my abuse was mental. Put it this way. I have literal holes in my brain from the psychological battery that I experienced. So sometimes things are happening that are physically impacting, but the person doesn't hit you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Your brain, when you go through narcissistic and psychological abuse, your brain changes.
Yeah.
Your brain becomes impaired. And I actually have physical evidence of that. Wow. It's like I have concussions.
Yeah.
If you look at my MRIs, it looks like I've had concussions.
And what do you guys think? Right? So these are things that occur with narcissistic abuse that we're not even aware of. So when you talk about not just domestic violence, but sometimes when you deal with psychological violence, because that's what this is, your brain actually alters, right? Your brain makes adjustments, and there are reasons for memory loss, that you can't seem to get your thoughts together, foggy mind, and things like that. So there's a lot of things that come along with not only domestic violence, but just specifically when we talk about mental abuse and narcissistic abuse, there are actual things that happen and that occur to us as a result of that, right? And there are things that we can't put our finger on. We can't seem to identify why we're confused, or why when things happen, we're frozen and we can't move, or we can't think, or we can't seem to process in the moment. There are things that happen as a result of narcissistic abuse. And so I want you to hold on to that. I want you to participate in tonight's conversation. I can see you guys joining in now. I definitely want you to comment, right? Because we need everything that you have to say. We want to get those things handled. We want to talk about them. We want to get the conversation started. Leon is an excellent resource, and he's prepared to talk about narcissistic abuse, but we're going to do something a little bit different with this conversation tonight. So with that, Mr. Leon Walker, why don't you come on in the room? Hello. How are you?
I'm good, sir. How are you? Can you see me good?
I can. Thank you so much.
Okay.
So we're going to talk about your journey, part 2 of your journey. And we're going to let it flow just like we did the first time. I appreciate you and thank you for sharing and taking the heat. You didn't take a whole lot of heat from our show, but I'm sure that over time you've taken a lot of heat. So we do want to commend you, first of all, for just speaking up and sharing your story. But tonight we're going to talk a little bit about your story from the beginning, right? So there were some things that we didn't talk about, and I've got those terms on deck waiting once we fast forward to where we are today. But I would like for you to just kind of talk about how everything started as a little boy, how you were in the home and things like that. So go ahead and share.
So can you turn your volume up? I can hear you. Can you turn up a little bit?
Okay. Yes is the answer. Let's see. Whoops. I think I checked out.
I can hear you though. I just want to make sure they can hear you.
Let me know if you guys can hear me. It might be this mic. So how about now? I don't know if that's better or not.
Yeah, a little better, but we good.
Okay. So go ahead and let's talk about you and your childhood. How was that for you?
So it's probably hard to believe this, but for a long time I was afraid of women. Okay. Because my first two cousins were the ones that molested me. And as sick as it sounds, yes, it's incest, but I started liking my cousins because that's all I knew. That's all I saw. They were older than me. I was probably 5 or 6, and I remember everything. And they were probably 12, 13. Why they were attracted to me, I have no idea. And so that was the first when it started. And I suppressed it. I kind of like put it out of my mind like it didn't happen. But then again, I held on to it because I was like, wow, they kissing me. They like me. They're attracted to me. I didn't look at them as being my cousins. I just looked at them as being women, as being toys, as being, playmates. And so that went from that to my addiction to porn at 7 years old. And now I'm seeing older women, well-built women, mature women. And now it's like, wow, this started feeling good to me. All right. And then from there, my babysitter took my virginity at 8. So my mother and father used to have these parties every Friday, and they had, women coming over and men coming over, and they'd be downstairs smoking weed and drinking and partying. And so my mother's bedroom was adjacent to the bathroom. So he drilled a hole in the wall he had me go in the bathroom and sit on the toilet just so he can see get eye level. And when I come back in my mother's bedroom, he drew a hole. I kind of knocked on the other side, and we kind of figured out what a hole would be so we can see right at the toilet level. Then we made it bigger because we figured out it was too small. So when we made the hole bigger, we could see not only the toilet, but the women. You know how women go in the bathroom and adjust their bras and take off the shirt, put on lipstick. I was seeing all of these things. The more I saw these things in these older women, the more I became attracted to older women. I was already molested, so I was like, I wanted to see more. I wanted more, And so that was like the third phase, from molestation to the porn to seeing older women undressed. And in my mind, they were undressing for me. And it doesn't make sense, but that's what I thought, because I wanted them to like me. I wanted them to love me. I wanted them to be attracted to me, but they were older. They didn't even know I was looking at them. But in my mind, I had that scenario built up already. And so it went from that to the addiction to porn to wanting older women. I've always liked older women, even as a little boy. And then I took a turn for the worse when my uncle was touching me. And so that I had all these addictions, and I had these anger issues. And so I became addicted to being angry. I became addicted to hurting women, and so it started just getting worse and worse and worse. And then my parents' divorce is when I was really sidetracked. So I was like on my own. My sister used to always tell me, you've been on your own since you was like 11. And I never thought about that, but she was right. So I was a loner, but I was a loner with a very promiscuous mind. I was a loner with a very devious mind, and that became who I became, and it felt good to me. So when I got older, and it felt good to hurt women. It felt good to get payback. It felt good to be verbally abusive because of my anger issues and because of my addiction. So I was looking for things. I couldn't even concentrate in school because I was always thinking about girls. I was always thinking about women. I was always thinking about porn, and that consumed me for a very long time, up until probably mid-40s. That's why women don't understand why men mature slow. It's something that happens to them in their childhood. Something that happened to them between their parents. Somebody touched them. Somebody abused them. Somebody neglected them.
Okay, stop. So you said that changes the maturity level. And what do you mean by that?
Oh
Where
yeah, so
they're more like boys because they are still a boy from whatever happened to them? What do you mean by that?
yeah, so it changes how I saw women. I saw women not as like somebody I should date and mature with or be in a long-standing relationship with. I saw women as toys, as sex objects, and that was it. Because those are the ones that taught me how to kiss my cousins. Those were the ones that took my virginity, you know, my innocence. And so it wasn't about a relationship. That wasn't a relationship. I didn't grow up on having a relationship. I grew up on having a sexual relationship. And as I got older, I knew better, but I didn't want better. I was comfortable with just having a sexual relationship with a woman. I was comfortable with just learning her body. I didn't care about her family. I didn't care about her mind. I didn't care about her emotions.
Okay,
But
so stop. So where was your mom? Like, did you tell anybody this was going on?
no.
Why didn't you say anything?
So what happened was I didn't start talking about this until 2016 to the world, right? And I never got therapy. I should have got therapy at 5 or 6 years old. My mother didn't. My mother didn't know. My father didn't know. My brothers and sisters didn't know. My mother died in 2012. My father died in 99. So they never knew. So what happened was I started talking about it and I realized that it started helping me out. Okay. So when I was doing my book tour in 2018, I did a lot of research on children being neglected and abused. 90% of the perpetrators are somebody you know or respect, right? That's
Right.
one part. The second part is 1 in 6 and 1 in 3 little boys and girls will be molested by the age of 18. Okay. The third part of that is 80% of the cases go unreported. During my book tour, I talked to psychotherapists, I talked to psychiatrists and psychologists, and nobody really understood why the cases were being going unreported. They kind of knew that the basic stuff: fear of retaliation, fear of family getting rid of you, fear of family not believing you. But the reason why I didn't report it is because it gave me a feeling of wanting to of being cared for. I didn't want it to go away. I wanted my cousins and my babysitter to continue doing what they were doing to me, because having sex at 8 years old, being kissed at 5 years old, felt better than coming home and listening to my parents argue and fight. So I replaced it. It was just like you said earlier, that displaced anger. I replaced that like my parents gonna fight tonight. You know, I hope my babysitter come and get me, or I hope my cousins come and get me. My cousin's gonna babysit you. My nickname is Double O. Double O, your cousin's gonna babysit you today. I was like, thank God, because either they're gonna kiss me, they're gonna play with me, or my babysitter's gonna come get me and we're gonna have sex. So I was replacing the fear that my parents were fighting and arguing with sex from my babysitter, or being or getting attention from my cousins, sexual attention from my cousins.
So was your mother nurturing at all?
My mother was very nurturing. My mother was also abused and beat and discarded by her mother. My mother is the reason why I became a Cub Scout, the reason why I played baseball, the reason why I learned how to swim, roller skate. Now, this is from the kindergarten to the 6th grade. After the 6th grade, my parents got divorced. I was sent to live with a lady that I didn't know. My father moved and he had a 1-bedroom apartment, so he couldn't take my sister and I. So we were split up around Cleveland. Okay. And so the nurturing part stopped for about a year, but I had nurturing from an elderly lady that I was staying with, but I was also lusting after her. I was 12 and she was probably in her 30s, but I was attracted to her because of my childhood.
Right.
All right. And so I would always have visions of myself sleeping with this older lady as a kid. And I just couldn't shake it. Then I'm like, I don't want to shake it because it feels good. I've been discarded by my parents. So that's how I felt. I've been given away. I was abused and neglected. My family is gone. It's just me and her son. All right. So my mother got us back in the 7th and 8th grade, still nurturing, but we were sleeping. I was sleeping on the floor I slept on the floor from kindergarten to 8th grade because I wet the bed. I didn't realize why I was wetting the bed until I was 47 years old in therapy. It's because I was neglected and abused.
The trauma.
And so when we moved back with my mother for 7th and 8th grade, again, I come home one day and say, hey, y'all have court today to see if your dad or if I'm going to have custody. She didn't show up to court. So my dad got custody by default. And so the nurturing from my mother stopped around the 8th grade.
So you had siblings, right? You mentioned a sister.
Yeah, I have 2 brothers.
She didn't know, nothing happened to her?
I
did she know what was going on with you?
An older gentleman, but we never talked about it. We talked about it years later, but my parents had no idea what was going on.
Wow. And
My
so
father,
when you went to school, because you talked about this in part one, and you went to school with hickey marks all over your face, that
right.
wasn't considered, they didn't think that was strange. They just
No,
let that go.
nobody. My first grade teacher, her name was Miss Tiller, and she was like, Leon, what happened to you? And I told her I got into a fight. She knew I was lying, but I had sucker bites everywhere, and I liked it. So it was like, it wasn't a wrong, it wasn't a bad thing to me. But I lied to her, and I never told her because I didn't want my cousins to get in trouble.
But your mom didn't see it? Like your parents didn't see that all of that?
No, it wasn't. It was never talked about, Cheryl. It honestly was never ever talked about. That I can remember. I never told on them.
No, but I mean, if you saw your 6-year-old child with a bunch of hickey marks all over their face and neck, and you know they didn't fall, and you know they
Right.
didn't get into a fight, and they're 6 years old, like, to me, that would be a red flag for the parent, the mom, dad, whoever's in the home, to say,
Yeah.
okay, something happened to this little kid.
No, you got, and also think about it. That was just the tip of the iceberg for me. I was already being molested by my cousins, even more so than that. But you figure 2 years after that, I had 3 years after that, I already lost my virginity, and so I had to find a way of hiding what was happening to me. I couldn't hide the marks. There was never anything said or done about that. My teacher knew. Nowadays, yeah, it's bad, but no, I didn't want that. I enjoyed it. Okay, and so I didn't tell, and because I didn't want it to stop. My case never went reported. The 80% of the cases go unreported. My case never went reported because I never told anybody because I didn't want it to end.
So where are your abusers now? Have you come across them?
No, 3 of them I'll never come across. My 2 cousins, one was murdered. Her boyfriend killed her with it was a hammer and a knife. The other one died an alcoholic. My uncle, who was touching me, he got murdered. He got shot in the mouth with a shotgun and his head blown off. And my babysitter's still around. I don't know where she is. I kind of know she's in somewhere in another state, but she's still.
Have you seen her since this incident took place?
No, I never saw her after we left. When I left the 6th grade, we left. I came home from the 6th grade graduation, and I went to go into the house, and my mother said, no, you can't go in. And I looked on the lawn. All of our furniture was on the lawn, and I'm looking around. She said, we got evicted. I didn't know we were getting evicted that morning. We were getting evicted long before that, but it was taking place that morning that I went to school. So that when I left home that morning, that was my last time being in that house and on that street. I had never been back to that street since. I go back now because I still have old friends over there. But when we moved out of that house from the 6th grade on, I had never seen her ever again.
So if you think about the babysitter right now in this moment, what do you think? Does it bring up feelings of attraction? Do you think, what does that person look like? Or do you think about that person?
Yeah. So what comes to mind when I think about her, and it comes back often, and I used to act on it when I was like actively being promiscuous. She always wore red lipstick, and she had like brown blonde hair, and she was thin. So I developed this attraction to thin women, and both my cousins were thin, but they never wore makeup. But my babysitter,
well, they were thin because they were 12.
Well, not all 12-year-olds are thin, though.
Well, that's true. But
Yeah.
when I think about, youth, I'm thinking they're generally smaller. So you developed an attraction for a woman that fits that mold.
Yeah, but it changed throughout my life. And so my babysitter always wore red lipstick. I remember when my parents had the parties, I was looking through the glory hole, but I saw voluptuous women. I saw top heavy women. I saw women with big butts, and I saw women with a hairy vulva. So my mind shifts were all over the place from little kid up until my 40s. And so whenever something reminded me of porn, or when it reminded me of my babysitter or my cousins and a woman, I locked onto that, and that gave me a rise. It gave me a euphoric feeling of an attraction. So all the women I dated and slept with, it was always a physical attraction. It wasn't mentally, it wasn't a mental attraction. But I can also stimulate a woman's mind mentally because I was worldly. I was traveling. I was in the Navy. I was around grown men. So I was learning about life as I got older.
So high school, college, or high school military, how did So let's go back a little bit more, because I know we were going to talk about your mom and your grandmother and how they shaped, or you believe they shaped, the narcissistic behavior.
Right.
So where was your grandmother in this?
So my mother and grandmother, in my book, I talk about it broken. I hated Christmas because every time Christmas came, we either go to my grandmother's house or my mother's, or they come to my house, our house. But when we went to my grandmother's house, my mother and grandmother always got into a fight, a physical fight. And so I was there one day and I wanted some greens and my grandmother was cooking, but she wasn't in the kitchen. And I looked at my mom like, hey, Mom, can we go in the kitchen? You know, she's like, come on, boy, we go in the kitchen. And she said, what do you want? I said, well, I want to taste the greens, because you can smell the food throughout the house, Christmas, the Thanksgiving dinner and all that stuff, turkeys and stuff. And so she lifted the pot up and put a spoon. And as she put the greens in my mouth, I heard a slap. And my grandmother came and she was pointing in my mother's face and told her, don't you ever bring your butt in my kitchen, don't mess with my food. And she slapped her. So I was holding my mother's hand. And at the time when she slapped, I can like feel the vibration go down my mother's arm into my hand. My mother didn't do anything. But my mother and grandmother fought all the time. They had, physical confrontations. There was another Christmas when my grandmother came to our house and my mother was cooking greens. And my grandmother went in there and ate the greens. Then she started choking. And so I go in there to help my grandmother. My grandmother, we get her upstairs and she's in the toilet, like can't breathe. And I'm looking down and I'm looking at my mother, like, she's like, don't do nothing. And so my grandmother didn't die, obviously, but she got the greens out by herself. My mother didn't help her. She just stood there and watched her. So they had this very toxic, dysfunctional relationship. And I never knew how to love a woman based on that. All I knew was how to watch a woman suffer or make a woman suffer. From that, my babysitter and my cousins. And I put this all together in my mind. So I started fearing women because thank God I didn't physically hurt women, but I became verbally and mentally abusive, which is worse than physically hurting a woman. So I had another mind shift in the 9th and 10th grade where I fell in love with this. Now it's dark skinned women. It went from liking light skinned, brown skinned, thin women to dark, thick women. And then it shifted in the military. I started liking Asian and white women. It shifted to black women, into tall women, to heavy women. I was just all over the place. So I just went with it.
So, like, when I think about everything that you've been through, right? How do you manage from day to day and you don't have these thoughts anymore?
Right.
Where are those thoughts? Like, what do you think about when you encounter a woman? Do you have a flashback? Like, how are you able to manage all of those traumas? Because they're a lot, right?
Yeah.
One trauma is a lot, but you've had, they've been piled on. How are you able to manage that in your everyday life and encounter somebody with style and grace that has nothing to do with narcissism or narcissism?
Right. So encountering women with style and grace and women that are very mature and virtuous and fabulous, I desire that. So when I gave my life to the devil, which is what I did, I accepted that because I didn't want to be pure. I didn't want to be happy. I didn't want to be mature. The devil gave me everything that I wanted out of life with reference to women and being, evil and spiteful and misleading. That felt good to me because I didn't have to love anybody. I didn't want to love anybody. When we lost our house, I felt thrown away. So I said, I'll never go back to that again. So how do I deal with this? By throwing people away. I'm going to make them hurt. I'm not going to feel this hurt anymore. I couldn't deal with it. Before we lost our house, I had two suicide ideations. I thought about hanging myself and I thought about shooting myself. And I had access to the gun because it was a gun that my mother tried to kill my father with. She was arrested, but she never went to jail. But meeting women now, I want to be who I can be, who I know I can be through therapy. I wanted to shed that bad person, that disrespectful person, that rude, that obnoxious person. I wanted to shed the cheating. I wanted to shed the evil. The devil had his way with me for far too long. I would always get like little clues about God was always with me, but I betrayed God often. I put God off to the side. I put him on the back burner because I wanted to do bad, because I wanted to do wrong. And a lot of women don't understand why men are emotionally detached like I was, is because it feels good to be emotionally detached. It feels good. It felt good for me to hurt a woman and watch her cry and be able to walk away. I didn't want to.
So this is power still, and this is why it ties into domestic violence, because domestic violence is still about power and control.
Right.
And in all of that, right, in your fear, in your anger, you still had to be on top. You had to win. And I mean, you may not have thought about it that way.
No, I did. No,
but that's what it was. Like, you had to be in control. So if you can make her cry, and you could sit back and be like, whatever, girl, just cry on.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, whatever.
That's what I did. And I thought about it that way because I couldn't let her know that I wasn't good in relationships. I'm just good at touching a woman. I'm just good at listening to a woman. I'm just good at talking. This is me prior to therapy, right? I'm still good at these things, but I don't use it in a malicious way. I don't use it for supply. And so my thing was, outside the bedroom, I didn't know what else to do. I didn't want to hold hands. I didn't want to cuddle. I didn't want to hug. I didn't want to get close to a woman because my mother and grandmother fought. They didn't have a great relationship amongst women. I felt discarded. I felt given away. I felt I was abused and neglected. I felt tricked. I felt misled. So everything that happened to me, I was doing it to other people because I said, if I know if this hurts me, I bet it hurts her too.
Well, so it's like your initial points of reference were all skewed.
All of them.
Your initial point of motherhood, your initial point of reference for marriage, your initial point of reference for family contact, healthy family contact, your initial point of reference for stability. I mean, all of those things were done. So really, you had to start over as an adult and relearn the healthy way, or unlearn, the behaviors and the things that brought you to the narcissistic behavior.
Right. So at 11, at 9, I told myself I'm joining the military. Both my parents dropped out in the 9th grade. So they never spoke about college. So at 9, I said, I got to do something, because I was like, I had low self-esteem, didn't have any confidence. I thought I was stupid, right? I wanted girls, but I was afraid of girls. So at 9, I said, I got to get myself prepared for the military. It just so happened to be the Navy. So I was working out at 19 years old. I was doing exercise to make myself bigger, to work on my confidence, because I had just blocked the girls out. I didn't want to be around. I was afraid that they would, abuse me again. And so I went into that in high school with the mindset, going to the military, but afraid of girls. I was always around beautiful women. And then I met this girl that turned me out, a dark-skinned girl that turned me out. She would take me to her house, have sex with me, feed me a steak. She would snort cocaine, go down on me, and send me home. This happened for a whole year, and I couldn't even concentrate in school. I was fearful of my dad. I never disrespected my dad, but this girl had me so gone that coming home at 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock at night on a school day didn't bother me, because my dad was already gone to work. He worked the 3rd shift for a whole year. So I had fell in love with her, and she was just controlling me and dominating me. So those childhood memories came back about a girl or woman controlling and dominating me. And so 10th, 11th grade year, things stopped with me and girl. It was like, I can't be in a relationship. I don't want to date. I don't know what to do. It was all based on sex. I didn't have the motherly figure. My mother was around, but she wasn't. The nurturing was gone. And so throughout my life and relationships, I always fell in love with my girlfriend's mother before my girlfriend.
Because you like the older women.
I like the older women.
Attracted to older women.
They could talk to me. They could teach me something. They was cooking. Hey, Leanne, come over. We cooking today. Hey, Leanne, give me those T-shirts. Take those off. I got some new ones for you. So I expected all the girls to do that I was dating. They weren't old enough to do that. They could have done it. But I was falling in love with my girlfriend's mother before my girlfriends. I liked my girlfriends, but I was more attracted to their mother. It became like a sexual thing to like a nurturing thing. I wanted a mother in my life. Yeah. I didn't have that. And so I was always plowing through girls. They couldn't do anything with me. They couldn't stop me. They could control me. After I got like my senior year and got into the Navy, I got worse. I got extremely worse. I didn't have any therapy. I didn't have any help. So I'm like, I'm just going to go with this. Excuse me. They attracted to me. They liked me. My confidence was up. My self-esteem was extremely high. I'm in the military. I'm in shape. I'm looking good. So this is what it is. I'm not going to be commit to anybody. So cheating became my number one thing. Being a serial dater became a number one thing to me. Compared to a serial killer, serial killers killed 3 or more people. I wasn't a serial killer. I never wanted to kill women, but I wanted to kill their spirit. I wanted to kill their soul.
And what did that do for you?
It
Did it make you feel strong? Like when you were done, you felt like, okay, I got her. That's one.
Yeah.
Did you?
So it went from the thrill of getting 2 or 3 women, or maybe 4 a day, to knowing that I can conquer that many women and keep them around for long periods of time. It didn't bother me if they cried. It didn't bother me if they walked away. It didn't bother me if they told me I hurt their feelings. Nothing, none of that bothered me. It didn't bother me. And I knew.
Okay, so stop. So what made, I know you talked about the therapy made a difference. Now, when you encounter a woman, what makes a difference?
So what makes a difference now is the ability that I know I'm not going back to my old ways. It's the ability to know that I can be monogamous. My dad was a monogamous man. My parents got divorced in 1979 to 1999. I saw my dad with 2 women. From 1979 to 1999, I had already surpassed that by a whole lot. And so now I want to, make my parents proud. I want to make my dad proud. I don't want to spread myself all over the world, all over Chicago or Cleveland, wherever I go. I want to be exclusive. I want to be monogamous. I have never done that for a long period of time. I was always looking for somebody else to fulfill something that I was missing. I want to be with one woman. I have a lot to share, but I shared it with so many women for so long, it felt good, and that became my norm. That became my comfort zone, right? And so I didn't care about hurting women anymore. I don't want to hurt any women anymore.
So what does rejection feel like when you tell them, this is what I've been through, this is what I've dealt with, and they say, you know what, just too much, bro.
I understand.
What does that feel like to you, though?
So what it feels like to me is that's what the hell I get, okay? Because I created this person that I have become. Think about all the women that I hurt. If I hurt you, Cheryl, I also hurt your sister, your daughter, your mother. There's a second and third and fourth order of effects of my pain that I inflicted on women. Women will tell me this. They tell me this now. Leon, you got too much. How do I know I can trust you? I have to explain myself over and over again. This is the hard part, but it's the healthiest part. It's the fruitful part. It's the part that God gave me the strength to be able to handle. The cheating, the discarding, the ghosting, the breadcrumbing, the silent treatment was easy for me, Cheryl. Very easy.
Okay, so do you think you deserve a relationship?
I think I deserve a relationship now. And I also think that a woman has the right to not trust me when we get together. She has to get to know me, because last year, my goal was to date someone, possibly get married, right off into the sunset, die, and go to heaven, right? That was my goal. And then keep speaking to the youth about my past, whatever. But I said, I didn't feel wholesome. I didn't feel right. So I said, you know what? Let me start talking about this, my mental disorder. Let me start, not just PTSD, but narcissism. I said, I owe a debt to society. Many people do. A lot of people won't do it. This is my debt to society, whether it's somebody's aunt, somebody's mother, somebody's daughter, somebody's wife. Somebody need to hear the message so that I can help people. That's why when I post videos, women say, you sick son of a, I get called names. You trigger me, Leon. I can't stand you. You need to go to hell. I get all of that. And I understand, because how many women did I do that to over a span of 30 something years? Okay. I finally got caught. Just like serial killers finally get caught. And guess what? They get the death penalty. I could possibly die alone, Cheryl, and I'm fine with that. I don't want to die alone.
You have a life penalty.
Huh?
Yours is a life penalty.
Mine is a life penalty. And I could die alone. I'm fine with that. I don't want to die alone, but I can't stop this journey. God put me on this journey, so I can't defy him anymore. I can't say, you know what? I'm done with the devil, yes, but I can't say, God gave me this journey. Say, you need to start doing this and open up to people. You need to help people, right? I don't do this for supply. I don't do this for money. I don't do this for happiness. This is hard, Cheryl. This is really hard for me to do. And I do it every single day. It's not like I take a break. I took a break last year in November because the comments were so strong and it woke me up and it helped me, but I couldn't deal with it because I said, you know what? I'm gonna start posting videos, talking about this. That's the easy part. I wasn't ready for the onslaught what was coming back at me because there are people out there that I hurt years ago.
Right.
So this is not fun to me. This is helpful. Therapy is hard. Therapy is not just going there and sitting on the lady's couch and listening to everything that you've done wrong so that you can try to change. There's work after therapy. And this is part of my work after therapy. So I understand if a woman says, man, you got too much baggage. I don't know if I should trust you. I get it. I understand. I don't want to hurt him. She don't want to go through what she went through 5 years ago by another Leon. Right. And then here I come the real Leon show up and say, oh, I don't know about you. I can do a lot. I can say a lot. You know, I come with a lot. I come with a lot of positivity. I come with some baggage, but my baggage is not weighed down. I'm just carrying empty luggages, and it's easy, right? Because I took all of that stuff away. I took it out. That's you good. Know, I'm doing the work, and this is my therapy. Talking to you, talking to somebody tonight. I got a phone call tonight. Doing a video tomorrow. This is my therapy. I can't just go away like, you know, yeah, you cool. You did your therapy. You good. No, I'm never good. My medical record says my therapy will be indefinite. That's from a psychiatrist. That's from a psychotherapist. My therapy will be indefinite. That's who I am. But I have to tap into my good spirit, my good soul, my good heart, and stay close to God. Right. People pray for me all the time. I ask people to pray for me. And so this is why I do what I do.
Yeah. And it's still necessary. And yes, Nancy said, who doesn't have baggage? We all do. And we all do. And everybody has something. So again, I want to commend you for speaking out and taking the heat, because you take the heat. Yeah. You definitely you're not taking any heat tonight, because nobody's saying what they want to say. But I will tell you that I got call after call about how important it is. And you and I talked about this, how even though we know the answer, right? We know when somebody's gaslighting, and I want to put those terms up in just a few minutes, but we know when we may not know exactly what it is, but we know when it's off. But it's almost like the person that is speaking to the issue, that committed the crime, if you will, right? Those people are so important, because you hear it directly from the horse's mouth. And it is so important for somebody who did it to tell you what I'm thinking in that moment. You know, when I did blah, 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 this is what I was thinking. I knew how to get you. I knew how to take care of you. I knew how to let you go. And I knew how to leave you alone. Right. Those things are extremely important, because even though we know, it's like to hear the man say, this is his thought process. And for some men, they might say, you messing up the dude code or whatever. This is a player's game and all that.
I get that too.
But it's so necessary, because the ripple effect, and you talked about that, the ripple effect of you, a man, messing over a woman is the ripple effect. I mean, and it's just as impactful for a woman when she messes over a man. I'm not diminishing that at all. But the ripple effect from a woman's broken heart is so impactful. It is so impactful. It impacts every single thing about her, how she deals with her kids after that, how she deals with her male counterparts after that. If she even desires to have a man, would she change and not even deal with any man ever again? I mean, there's so many ripple effects. And yes, we can do the same thing to you, but for whatever reason, there's an endurance, there's a durability that you have as a man that allows you to deflect even when you're in pain, but it allows you to deflect that. And it's totally different when a woman goes through that. So I really do commend you for speaking your truth, because it's definitely necessary. I'm sorry that you had to get on this side of it to tell your story, but know that you are healing along the way. And if it's healing for you, it's definitely healing for us. So I commend you for just even opening up to talk about it. I do want to ask you a few questions. I always have those. But first, I wanted to bring up a couple of terms, because we talked about them in part one. We talked about narcissism, and we talked about some other terms. So I just want to put those up on the screen really quick. So a narcissist is a person who has an excessive interest in or admiration of themselves. Just wanted to kind of put some of those terms out there, so when we start talking about where we are now, where you are today, that we can give a little more of an explanation. So go ahead and put the next one. Okay. Narcissistic personality disorder involves a pattern of self-centered, arrogant thinking and behavior, a lack of empathy and consideration for other people, and an excessive need for admiration. Would you agree that that's true?
Yes, 100%.
100%. Okay. And it says others often describe people with narcissistic personality disorder as cocky, manipulative, selfish, patronizing, and demanding. Yes?
100%.
Okay. All right. Go ahead with the next one. So gaslighting, we talked about this a little bit. It's a form of psychological manipulation in which the abuser attempts to sow self-doubt and confusion in their victim's mind. And before you go to the next term, can we talk about gaslighting a little bit? So let's just dialogue, if you will, about what that looks like. Can you paint the scenario, and I'll try to role play if I can.
So, hey, Cheryl, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm a Navy recruiter, and we're in a Black community, and most Blacks can't swim, and the Navy is always on water, right? Can you swim?
I can swim, yes.
I mean, can you stay in the water for long periods of time?
Not very long.
So my question to you is, will the Navy teach you how to stay underwater for long periods of time? That's the question you really have, right?
Well, yes, I guess that is my question.
Right. So see how you just said, well, you answered my question because I want something from you. I want to put you in the Navy. So that's called a psychological reciprocity. That wasn't your question, but you have a need to join the Navy. So
you manipulated me, emotionally manipulated me with that whole can I swim thing to try to change my mind, or to get me to believe something else. Right. Is there anybody out there who has been gaslighted? Can you just type a yes, I have in the chat so we'll know?
Right. And so that part right there was just persuasive selling to you, psychological reciprocity. But the gaslighting is to make you think that your answer is really, and that's separate from the question I asked you, is to make you doubt yourself. That's when women are like, did I say, that's the gaslighting, because I have to be right. I don't want you to be right. I'm right. You're wrong, even if you're right.
Okay. So in a dating scenario, and here we've got some yes, I have. So there are people who have been gaslit. Is that the proper term?
Yeah. Gaslit.
Just recently. Somebody said just recently. So in the dating world, let's talk about that. Because one of the things I wanted to do, even though I know we spoke about your childhood and things like that, one of the things that was really impactful, at least from the feedback that I got, was to talk about how that these narcissistic personality disorders, how they're used in the dating world, right? Because we've got a lot of women that, and again, this is geared toward women. My whole platform is geared toward women. So if you're a man, and I'm sure it happens, but we're going to talk about as it relates to the women. So gaslighting in the dating term, can we talk about that? That would be like if I caught you cheating, or I thought you were cheating, right? So I saw something in your phone. Let's do a scenario, or what would be your example that you would use for, let's say, gaslighting?
So you saw something in my phone, Cheryl? Is that what you're trying to tell me?
Yes. I saw a text from KK, and right. KK said, are we meeting later?
Right. So if you're going through my phone and I've never gone through your phone, that means obviously you're doing something wrong that you think that I'm doing when I'm not doing it, but you're the one doing it. So why are you going through my phone?
Oh. Well, so you're telling me that you don't know KK?
No, I didn't say that. That's what you said. I didn't say anything. I said you blame me for something that you're doing. Do I ever go through your phone? No. So because I trust you, you don't trust me. So I should be the one worried about this relationship right now. So let me see your phone.
Okay. You guys hear that, right? This is what they said been there. This is what it looks like. So it's really like a switch. Gaslighting is a switch so that you deflect onto.
Yeah, you caught me. Yeah. You caught me.
And you never admitted it though. Let me just say this. There was somebody that I dated for a long time. And I think that I dated them for a long time because I wanted to catch them. I couldn't catch them. The gaslighting was so way out there that I was determined to catch that person in a lie. And I always caught him in a lie, but I couldn't prove the lie. Like in my estimation, I needed to prove it with like hard facts, receipts. And I didn't have that. I had a feeling and I was dead on, but I didn't have the receipts for it. And so for so long, I was driven by, if I could just catch him, and I just want to catch him. It was like that.
But check this out. So we talked about KK. Now, after you like, all right, Leon, what up, blah, 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 blah. I'm going to text KK and say, hey, look, this was just, I got to stay a step ahead of you because I know you're going to try to wait on KK. You're going to look for, you're going to call, text something. But I got to hit her up and say, hey, look, if my girl texts you to call, boom. That's just this. Yeah. I know. Bad, disrespectful, rude, sick-minded. But it's always another step after that. Don't just think that because I now won the argument, it's over. No, I'm got to text old girl. Let her know, look, if she texts you, this is the deal. Because she's just as jacked up as I am. She's just as broken as I am. So this is fun to her too. It's a thrill. So I went into all my relationships that I was cheating in, letting them know, hey, this is the deal. This was up. I don't care. Those women were normally just like me. So I couldn't step to a woman that had her stuff together because she's not going to play those games. I didn't have time or the patience to put in the work. Now I want to put in the work. Now I have patience. That's why you asked me earlier, how am I now with relationships? How do I see myself? If I get rejected, I get it. But yeah, that's another part to that. I got to text a girl to say, hey, this could happen. So be prepared.
Okay, so let's talk about, and yes, Nancy, that is true. It's a manipulation. And it often does occur in abusive relationships. We're going to talk about another term, which is what is she saying? It's a covert type of emotional abuse where the bully or abuser misleads the target. Yes. So let's talk about one of the other terms, which was ghosting. So ghosting, let's read that, is also known as simmering or icing. It's a colloquial term which describes the practice of ending all communication and contact with another person without any warning or justification. This is so relevant today. We talk about ghosting all the time. In dating relationships, we talk about ghosting. Nothing happened. Did you guys get into an argument? No, he just kind of stopped calling. I tried to reach him. He didn't call me back. What the heck is that?
You know why ghosting happens so often?
Why?
Because let's say with the respectful woman, right? If I'm the narcissistic guy, which I am, and I only look at you as a toy, a sex object, I like you, I'm attracted to you, I'm turned on by you. All I'm thinking about is the love bombing, which is going to happen often in the beginning, which is going to lead to the sex in my mind. Make you happy, make you feel good, make you admire me so you can fall in love with me so I can use you for sex. Once I realize you're not giving up the panties, I start ghosting you because you're not going to give me what I want. Those are the women that have a purpose in life. The ones that don't, the ones that are just as dysfunctional and broken as I am, the sex can happen real quick. That's not a challenge for me. That's not a thrill. The thrill,
you wouldn't ghost that person.
Yeah, because you feel the disconnect. Now, I felt connects with women that are just like me, that they want a one night stand. Leon, just come over, break me off. Bet. Good. I ain't got to love bomb me. I ain't got to spend time with you. I ain't got to worry about the next plan. I don't have to ghost you because I know you're going to give me what I want. Ghosting starts when you meet a woman that's not all about the sex in the beginning. So it's like, oh man, she ain't with that, man. Her conversation's boring. I try to talk a little bit about sex. She's like, oh no, we not, So then they start ghosting you. The text messages in the beginning are like, hey, sweetie, how you doing? Hey, baby, how you doing? I Ubered you some breakfast, blah, 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 blah. And then it starts to tail off when they realize that you're not a sexual person at that moment. It's all about
interesting.
It's all about my need, not about your need. It's about my needs.
So I've seen ghosting take place when sex was not involved. And I guess what you're saying is because after a certain period of time, the person that's kind of interested can tell that it's not going to go in a sexual place. So they they ghost. But the interesting thing is, if they stayed a little longer, not that the whole thing is going to lead into sex, but if they stayed a little longer, they would find that this was a meaningful relationship. So clearly, they're not really
They don't want a meaningful relationship. So therefore, they don't stay that long. So therefore, the ghosting happens maybe a week. For me, it was like 4 or 5 days. Some guys a little longer. But
what do you say when you run into that person? I'm sure you've run into somebody that you've ghosted over time. What do you say?
They knew what I was about, so I don't want to go back and revisit that conversation. I don't even want to hear nothing. Narcissistic people don't like hearing like I got caught, or Leon, I'm on to you. I knew what you was doing anyway. Don't want to hear. It was like the silent treatment because we didn't hook up, you didn't give me sex, so it's like we don't have to talk about it. I see them as like, hey, what's up? Whatever. I'm like, yeah, whatever, but it was no need to talk because she knew what I was about, and I didn't want to hear that she knew what I was about. Didn't want to hear it.
So basically, then it kind of turns into gaslighting because she sees you out and she says something to you. You're looking at her like, so what are you? And then the silent treatment.
Yeah.
Golly.
So it goes one thing.
It's cyclical.
It's a cycle.
That's amazing. Okay. So let's talk about love bombing. Love bombing is the action or practice of lavishing someone with attention or affection, especially in order to influence or manipulate them. And we talked about this last time too. This happens at the very beginning. So the person is buying you flowers, they're, planning trips, or they're making sure they're there every time you need them. When you cough, they bring you medicine, whatever that is, right? So it's over and above. Does it run out because you ran out of money? Or it runs out because you really don't want to do that? You're just doing it till they cross over into the I'm in love with you zone.
That's when it stops. And then you don't have to do it anymore. Because now she's going to start love bombing me to keep me around. Psychology, reverse psychology, psychological reciprocity, whatever you want to call it. Now, before the love bombing phase, I may not have to buy much. We may not have to go on a trip. Okay. Love bombing comes in for me. I don't know about other narcissistic men and women.
Y'all the same. Go ahead.
Right. You
do one of the 10 items. You do one of the 9 different, but listen.
Right. But mine came from my ability to listen intently. Women like a man that listens, and then they like a man that responds with something strong or something profound. And look
at your smile, though. That's the part. See, this is the part, because you understand and it seems the way that you're talking about it, are we that easy? Or this is for people who have really studied, they've really studied this craft?
Well, I'm going to tell you, some are that easy if I listen to all women. Now it's not malicious. Before it was malicious. So the love bombing, it could be a lot or it could be a little. It depends on what you say when I'm listening to you, right? If you say, I was with him for 6 months, Leon, and he didn't give me a massage. I'm going to give you a massage that night. So that X's out the trips, the Louis Vuitton bags, the red bottoms, the Tiffany jewelry. Or, man, Leon, I ain't had no crab legs. Well, instead of going to the restaurant, let's go get some real quick, and I'll cook them right here in the kitchen. Things that a woman hasn't had in a long time. Eye contact. A man rubbing her scalp, right? Giving her shoulders a massage, right? Complimenting her.
But to me, that is so. But do you understand when you say those things? Do you understand that those things are normal? Like, so now what's normal? I understand what you're saying is to manipulate. But what I'm saying to you
is not that.
What are you gonna
if you haven't gotten it I said in the year, Leon, it's been a year and he hasn't done. So now it's not normal to you. It's
I got you. Okay, I got you. Now it makes sense. Okay.
It's been a year. Of course, I'm listening to what you're saying. So your physical touch, which is your love language, you yearning for that. Okay. Your skin is hungry. I could grab you by your chin and you're like, oh my God, or kiss you on your forehead, right? If it's been a year, that's not normal anymore. It's abnormal. And then so when I touch you or do the things that I'm doing to you after it's been a year, your body is going to respond one way or the other.
Yeah.
Whether you want your body, and I know this, whether you want your body to respond or not, if I rub your arm, right, your vagina is going to respond. Your heart is going to respond.
If you have not been touched in a year or whatever time. Yeah.
So don't think that now, if we talk about normal things, I don't want to hear about normal things because you're getting that. Chivalry, doors being open, putting on your coat, that's normal. So it's like, if I do that, you expect that, whatever. But if I do the things, if I come over, hey, Cheryl, I'm going to come over and clip your toenails, I'm going to paint them, let's have some fun. That's not normal to you. Hey, Cheryl, I'll be there in about 30 minutes. I want to watch Psycho. I got some popcorn. What kind? I know you like mango, peach lemonade. I got you. You haven't gotten that in a year or 6 months. That's not normal. It's like, damn, this. And guess what you say? He listens to me. It's the small things.
It is.
Hey, Cheryl, I got some stuff for your dreads. I know you ordered last week. Because of COVID, it's going to be here. But my boy hooked me up. I'll be there in a minute. Boom. So the love bomb is not always the trips, the Gucci bags, the shoes. Nope. The love bombing is the little physical things, the mental things, the listening, the paying attention, the coming on time, buying your favorite drink or getting your favorite food or your favorite dish or your favorite little candy bar that you've been.
Let me ask you this. How possible do you think it is for us to turn around this narcissistic behavior and make it normal to treat somebody nicely?
You say, how hard is it?
How hard do you think it would be if you were able to talk to people, men especially, to turn that around and make it a normal thing? I mean, I guess we all would need work, right? But I'm just saying, like, the things that you're saying are also things that keep a relationship together.
Right.
With a narcissist, there are things that keep the relationship in a tumultuous state.
But it'll keep it together too, because empaths.
It does keep it together. You're right. So it just keeps it together in a different way. You're right.
So first of all, we have to understand and know, and in the Black community, that therapy is not taboo.
Yeah.
We have to. I didn't go into therapy until I was 47. Just imagine how I was living my life from age 5 to 47, 42 years. I was out of control. I was a maniac. So we have to, first of all, understand that therapy it's not taboo. Therapy is not only for me, but it's how I treat you and my kids and my friends. Okay? I have to understand and get clarity of my personality disorder. Therapy is also about, us getting better as a couple, us helping other people. Therapy is also about letting your guard down. Therapy is also about forgiving. I had to learn all of that in therapy. Therapy is also about learning that you don't have to avoid. I don't have to avoid the hard questions, because I think if I answer the question wrong, she's going to leave me, or she's going to think I'm stupid. She just wants to know, and it's okay for her to want to know, because if I don't know, she's going to help me. Yeah. I had to start trusting women again. I didn't trust women. You know why? Because I didn't trust myself, and that's the gaslighting part. When if I don't trust myself, I'm gonna make her not trust herself, because I have the answer that she wants, or I have the answer that she thinks she has the answer, but she doesn't. My answer is better than hers. So it's all kind of twists a game. It's just really, it's just draining. But we have to understand that therapy is not taboo. So we can start this process by, it's called talk therapy. And I think only a psychotherapist or a psychiatrist can diagnose people, right? But talk therapy, not want to always be, everybody wants to be a high value man or a 6-figure man, and a woman needs to bow down to me, and a woman submit. Men can submit too. Submitting means opening your heart to what your partner needs.
Right. It's
not bowing down. It's not being subservient or docile. It's not. But first of all, I had to raise my hand and say, hey, I got issues. I need to go to therapy, Right. But I've been told over the years, Leon, there's something wrong with you, but I've been told that a lot. So I fought it. Ain't nothing wrong with me, because you said that, I ain't going. So I walked out of marriage therapy. I walked out of marriage counseling. I got in there with an attitude and walked out with a worse attitude. So
regrets, yes or no? Regrets about that? Regrets about that for your marriage?
Yes and no, because my ex-wife was a really, really good woman. Very morals, character, and tech, all of that. I was the one without that. So yeah, no, regrets, yes. Not no, but yes, because I would have learned something in there. I didn't sit down and listen. The first time I went into therapy, I was there for 18 minutes. I walked out. The second time I went into therapy, or actually the second time I was in therapy, I walked out after 18 minutes. The third time I walked out after 50 minutes. So I was always walking away like, I can't be nothing wrong with me. I've been 32 years in the Navy. I'm successful. I'm ranked #1. I'm recruiter of the year. I'm sailor of the year. How can I have problems? Y'all the ones got the MF problems. I think y'all need therapy. Until I went and I found that I did have a lot of problems. I already knew something was wrong with me, but I couldn't identify it. So raising your hand, saying you want to get better, you want your marriage to last, you want to treat your kids better, is where it starts.
Would you go back, if you could, to everybody that you hurt, that you can remember?
So I started doing that, and it felt good to hear their voices. Like, man, because when I left, of course, our relationship didn't grow and didn't go anywhere else. So when I left, that's when she stopped. That's where I stopped. That's what I remember. So I called some women. Some women have called me. Even some of the people that I led in the Navy, some of my male sailors, like, man, you were rough, man. You did this. Hey, man, I will call them. Yo, bro, I'm sorry, man. 10 years ago, yep, this just happened a couple of months ago. Sailors that I had in 2004, 5, and 6, I reached out and apologized. Women that I talked to was like, yeah, I knew something was wrong with you, Leon. But we were always having fun. I was always into something with her, planning something, the love bombing, up and down, popping up, come and go, here, go there, you know. So, yeah, I've reached out to him. Someone reached out to me, and we talk now. I'm much more mature, not that because I'm 56, like my back is up against the wall. No, not because I'm afraid that I'm going to die alone. No, but it feels better to listen and understand and let a woman and hear her out. You know, it's not about me always talking, but dang, what did I do? How did I act? I don't remember that. I said that? Yeah, Leon, you said this, you did. A lot of things, some of the things I don't even remember saying or doing.
Wow. Somebody just asked, when you were married, did you love her? And why did you feel the need to marry?
Great question. So in 1994, I was at work in the recruiting office, high on being promiscuous, right? My friends say, yo, man, I'm tired of seeing you with all these women, bro. I got a good woman for you. I was like, man, I don't want no good woman. Sure, I never wanted a good woman because it was too pure. I knew I couldn't handle her. It just wouldn't feel right to my spirit. I was like, nah, dog, I'm good, man. I got so-and-so. I got Tina, I got Karen, I got Lisa, I got Jackie, I got Pam. I'm good, bro. I'm good. Nah, man. So I was like, all right, whatever. Let me just add her to the list. I met her. I was like, oh, wow. She was totally different. My wife, totally different. She didn't drink a little bit. The other ones, we would drink and smoke and fight and have sex. Drink, smoke, fight, have sex. That's what I like. You know, I like that drama. I like all that misery, you know, because I could operate in that. I met her, and she was real slow motion. The morals and integrity, the family still, her parents were still married at that point, 30-some years. I don't know anything about parents being married 30-some years. So I tried it, and I couldn't step up. I couldn't be a married man. I tried
How long after you got married did you recognize that it was a problem or a mistake or whatever?
I realized it the first 2 months in a relationship, not even the marriage. But I said, I need this type of woman in my life because if not, I'll wind up, somebody's going to kill me. I'll wind up committing suicide. I'll drink myself to death. I'll smoke myself to death. So she was clean. She was pure.
So for you.
Yeah, she was good for me. So when I was around her, it wasn't no drinking or smoking. When I was around the family, it wasn't none of that. So my body started changing. You know, I felt my skin started clearing up, but I still had those deeply rooted addictions, those attractions, that lust and that greed. I couldn't shake that. I wasn't going to church. I wasn't believing in God. I wasn't asking for prayer. So I just had a good woman in my life that couldn't do anything with me. So she could help me, but she didn't help me. She did help me, but I didn't allow her to help me. Let me put it that way.
So she knew you had issues, or you didn't tell her anything?
No, she knew. She didn't know what it was. She's always telling me, something wrong with you. You dysfunctional. You blah, 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 blah. And I just got angry. And so I quit. I gave up. I was still married, but I wasn't trying to be a better man anymore. Not blaming her, I was actually looking for an excuse to go do what I was doing, and I did it anyway. My infidelity was at an all-time high, and I turned her life upside down. I didn't deserve a wife then. I should have been married. I should have been in an insane asylum back then.
So she responded. How is she now? Have you guys, I'm sure you've had a conversation. You said you have children with her, correct?
Yeah, we haven't talked about what I'm talking about on social media now. She kind of knew. She probably like, oh, that's what it was, like now.
Okay.
But we're cool. I'm at a different level in life. She's always been up here, morally and all that stuff. I was just trying to get there. I couldn't.
Yeah.
I found myself because I was always like deeply involved in extramarital affairs and cheating and lying and, impressing other women and the thrill and the chase of discarding and getting and discarding. So I was living a double life because I had a double mind.
So looking at what you want in terms of going forward, would you feel like you'd be attracted to a person with that level of integrity, or you still feel like?
No, I would be, because it's safe. It's who I am now. I want to grow more. I want to be monogamous. I want to be exclusive. And I don't rehearse these words. And it's just the way that I feel now. I never felt this way for many years, Okay. And so I'm big on being fair, but I have to also realize that I got to give her something in order to get something from her. I can just expect her to treat me like a king, and I'm not treating her like a queen, Right. So yeah, I'm fine. That's what I want in my life,
So prior to this, and you're here now, there's so many people that are online that are listening, and we touched on this the last time. What would you say to a woman who is, I would say, currently dealing with a narcissistic personality?
If the person doesn't go into therapy, they'll never change. First of all, they have to be able to take constructive criticism, because in therapy, it's some constructive criticism. It's negative vibrations. I was sitting there. I walked out twice. So I was sitting there like, but they have to say, you know what? I want to save my marriage. I want to stop berating my wife or husband, right? I want to stop lying to her, him. I want to stop cheating. I want to stop being unfair. I want to stop being rude. I want my wife to stay alive. I don't want to push her to commit suicide. This is the real shit you have to say, because women start to go down like giving up, quitting. They don't get their hair done anymore. They don't put up makeup. They don't put up foundation, no lipstick, no lip gloss. They don't go out with their girls. They don't visit their family.
Right.
All of that. And so they start developing this internal sickness because of a Leon. So he's got to say, man, I'm killing my wife. My wife was strong, but
he doesn't see that. So that's the part. So right. Yes, I agree. He'd have to say he wants therapy. Let's say they're not married, they're dating.
If they're dating, married, he's still able to abuse verbally, mentally. He's still able to. He's still able to. Can you hear me?
I can now. It looks like it's going out. Okay, I see you now.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you.
I can't hear you.
Try now.
I lost your volume. Somebody called in. Can you hear me?
Yep. Can you hear me?
Can you hear me now? I can't hear you.
I can hear you. All right, so let's see.
I can't hear you.
How about now? Can you hear me?
People always call in when I'm doing something.
How about now?
What about now? You want me to log out and come back in?
Yes. Go ahead and do that. Yeah.
Okay, hold on. I'll be right back.
Okay. You guys, so this is a really interesting piece of it, because I'm really curious to find out what that looks like for those of us who are single, for those of us who have possibly dealt with a person who, can you hear me now, Leon?
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right. So I was just saying this is a really interesting piece, because it's really important for people to know what to do. And I think, yes, I believe that the man should go and get therapy, and even the woman, even after dealing with a person who's a narcissist, there's a set of traumas that you have to unfold, right, in order to get the healing that you need on the other side of that. But we're going to talk about two things. So one of the things I want to talk about is if this person is not married, they're dating, and they show they see signs of narcissistic behavior. If you know what a narcissist thinks like,
I do,
how they think, and you saw your sister going into a relationship, maintaining a relationship, or continuing a relationship with a person that's a narcissist, what would be your advice?
I'll tell her to leave them alone. I'll talk to them both one-on-one, and I say, hey, this is what I'm seeing. This is what my sister told me. This is what I see you do, the good things and the bad. But based on what I see from you, my man, you need to get into therapy. My sister, possibly too. Okay, so it's always two sides to a story. But if I'm seeing things and I know that it's like directly related to what I was doing, I'm gonna tell her firsthand. And then you know what I'll do? I'll tell her exactly what he's going to do next, because we do the same thing.
That's what I'm trying to say. The narcissistic behavior does not change. It is the same. And you may have 9 out of those things that you do alike, and 1 that you don't do the same. But when we talk about what to do in that situation, the best thing to do is to leave. And I know that sounds, it's hard, and you're dealing with your emotions and all that kind of stuff. But that whole love bombing thing, which is the very first thing that happens, but the continued behavior, you got to get out, because it is something from a mental place that's very difficult to unravel on the safe side.
It's very difficult. And if you don't understand it, you'll be going through motions every day, thinking about me and wondering about me, then I pop up again. And so I would tell my sister, back to what I was saying, I would tell her everything that he's going to do next, because it's a process, it's a step. And she'll go, oh, wow, oh, I do it now. I don't tell women to leave their men. I don't tell men to leave their women. They say, okay, Leon, give me an example. I'll say, this is based on this. And then they'll call me 2 days from now. Yep, he did that. Or, man, you're right, she did that. I said, listen, I'm black. The guy could be white, Asian.
Yeah, it has nothing to do with it. It's a personality disorder. It's just like sickle cell anemia affects blacks, but any kind of other blood disorder that can affect is something that is just a textbook. Like Ms. Moore said, it's a textbook. So it's the same thing over and over.
But I'm going to tell you something, Cheryl, and this is what baffles me, right? I volunteered along with God to start talking about this, okay, last year. And you would not believe how women go, Leon, were you misdiagnosed? And I said, ma'am, now these are the only women that I get a little upset.
Misdiagnosed for being a narcissist?
Yeah, she was like, maybe it's, I said, listen, I've been diagnosed years ago. I've sat in therapy. I've talked to psychotherapists, psychologists, psychiatrists. I've been in therapy for years, right? Even after my sitting on the couch for 12 months, they'll go, but my narc said this. I said, wait a minute. Has he been diagnosed? Well, no. I said, listen, ma'am, I'm talking to you for free. I've been diagnosed. I'm telling you what's going to happen. We are this, but he's Asian. I said, we're the same people.
Right. And you would be surprised, well, you're probably not, about how attractive, though
I get that too.
As crazy as it is, how that's even attractive after the fact.
Women have told me, Leon, I'm attracted to what you're saying. You triggered me, but my kinky side came out. I get all kind of DMs. And so I understand that, but the women that are claiming that calling these men narcs and the men calling women narcs, they have not been diagnosed. And I'm telling them the truth. They like, they just want to stay. I said, well, listen, call me Friday. Tell me what happened. I'm gonna tell you what's happened between Tuesday and Thursday. And then they call, guess what? The same thing happens based on what I told her or him what was going to happen.
Right.
But I don't know. I can just tell people. I can't make them believe it.
Well, so at the end of the day, you've been commissioned to share your story.
Yes.
You've been commissioned to be transparent. You've been
Yes.
commissioned to take the heat. And you just have to do that.
That's it.
Because like everything else, especially with abuse, people will return 7 times before they actually get out. And for some people, they don't make it out.
Right.
And if the goal is to share your story in the hopes that you can redeem not only others but yourself,
Right.
and your purpose is there. And unfortunately, we can only give the information as the messenger.
Right.
And wherever the seed grows, hopefully it grows in the heart of the person that's dealing with the situation.
Right. I agree 100%.
So I'm not sure if anyone else has any questions for Leon. He's been a key that's unlocked a whole lot of doors. And I don't want you to call me tomorrow. I want you to talk tonight. So somebody says he needs to go ahead and get his counselor certification and start his business of professionally helping narcissists and those trapped within narcissism.
Well, the narcissists don't want to hear what I got to say. They'll report my videos. I don't know who they are, but whatever. They're not. So here's the thing. This is what you all need to know.
Thank you. Let's do that. Let's talk about it.
Right. The reason why a lot of them won't go through therapy, right? They're in denial. They don't want to get help. You know why? It's because it feels really good.
It feels really good to have women all around or getting the accolade, whatever it is that's giving them
whatever. I mean, it felt good to me to like.
It's the attention, right? It's the attention that you see.
And then it shifts to the thrill of mine was always with the women and the thrill of chasing and getting them and conquering them. It's like, why should I stop this? There's nothing wrong with me. But the reason why a lot of them won't go through therapy because the women are telling the men and men telling women, you tripping, you did this, you did that. Really, right? They know what's going on, but they don't want to stop. They're not tired yet. And there's nothing connected to therapy. For me, my retirement was connected to my therapy and getting enrolled in therapy and completing it. So I can retire and get my disability because it is a disability, right? And so it feels good to be treated this way. It feels good to have all these things, all these women, everybody pouring into you, everybody stroking your ego, everybody patting you on the back, shaking your hand, loving you, liking you, bragging about you. Why would people want to give that up? I figured out it was something wrong with me, and I was running away from responsibility. I was running away. I was avoiding. It was escapism. I got tired. I need to go, but there was something connected to my therapy. And with these people, it's like if you don't get therapy, I'm gonna leave you. Women don't just leave people like that. They'll endure a lot months and years later, and they'll never leave. I'll never tell people to leave anybody, but they have to get some help.
So if this was not connected to your retirement, we may not be talking today.
You wouldn't be talking to me today because I wasn't gonna sit on that couch. Ain't no way. I was like having a good time. My girl didn't challenge me. I had other women, blah, blah, blah. You wouldn't be talking to me today. There was no way. I'd be a 56-year-old, unhealed, unhealthy, butthole narcissist.
But what about your friends, like your male friends? Were they the same or did they ever say?
Just like me, Cheryl. They were just like me.
Oh, okay.
Even right now, a lot of them, I'll be like, man, dude, he's like, man, they just like me. They're not going to therapy. So
what do they say about you doing this?
They applaud me. Hey, man, I appreciate what you're doing. Man, I get a lot of men say, man, I need to go, man. One called me today, one called me yesterday. Some of them are now going into therapy, because they see my videos. I'm like, man, just go, man, because I'm going to tell you something, Cheryl. With a narcissistic person, dating or married to a really good, healthy, wholesome woman, or if you two women, you're gay, if you two men, you're gay, whatever. One of y'all good and one of y'all not, right? If you don't get help and you keep doing what you're doing to that woman, because it happened to me, once you lose her or once the woman loses him, your emotional karma will crush your soul. It happened to me. I have friends going through right now. When you mistreat a good person, a wholesome woman, a spiritual woman, bless you, a God-loving woman, and they hang around in your life for years to come, and you don't get help, you don't make it better, you don't fix that relationship or the marriage, once that woman gets that strength, now that she's 100% in, once she's get that strength and the tables turn, she's 100% out, the emotional karma will destroy a narcissistic person if they don't get help. Then
talk about what that's like. Talk to me about what that's like. When you what is that like?
The emotional karma?
Yes.
You lose strength in your ability to do what you were doing. You lose strength in your ability to reel her back in. I was always reeling women back in. You lose your strength and your ability to cope through life. You can't work. You can't eat. You don't want to work out. You're unhappy.
And that's directly tied to the person because that person was good to you and you.
Exactly.
Okay.
And that's
now, did you think that was a spiritual thing or do you think that was just.
Well, I knew it was a spiritual.
Did you recognize while you were dealing with that you think if I had just treated her like that's why? Did you make that connect? How did you make that connect?
So I knew it was a spiritual thing and all I could do was just like have people pray for me, have mercy on my soul because she was into church. I'm not saying you have to be into church to be protected, but even if you're spiritual and you're aligned, you're still going to be protected from a Leon. And so I couldn't do anything. She just was moving on. She was talking to me any kind of way. I just took it. But for years, I was the one doing all that. But it was time. It came a time where she got her strength. And when she prayed or people prayed for her or she asked the church to help her, it helped. It worked for her. And then I was stripped of everything. I didn't want to take showers. I didn't want to brush my teeth. I didn't want to work out. I was losing
weight. So she broke it off with you? How did that? When she got her strength and left, she got her strength and she said, I'm not doing this with you anymore.
And when she made that decision, so she was always covered. I wasn't. She was just trying to cover me and help me, but I wouldn't allow it because I was going the other way. So when she woke up and said one day, I'm done, Leon, I can't do this anymore, it was easy for her to walk away. God had already given her the strength and the ability to do it. All she had to do was turn away. That's her repenting.
So once she left, then you started to feel the effects of that. Is that because you tried to get her? Did you try to get her back? And she wasn't having it?
Sure. I tried, but she was so strong and going the other way.
Yeah.
There was nothing I could do. I couldn't like kiss her, couldn't even touch her, couldn't even hug her, nothing. Once she was done, she was covered and spiritually connected. All she had to do was turn away and go. And everything in front of her was hers to take. Everything behind her was hers to leave behind. And I was the one that she left behind.
And that impacted you?
Ooh, what? Because it had never happened. I wasn't prepared for it. When you're doing a person wrong, there's no preparation for what's going to come your way. You don't deserve to be prepared. People don't realize when karma hits you, it punches you in your mouth. It punches you in your stomach. There's a knife going into your chest. There's a knife coming across this way. There's a knife coming this way. You're done. And that's why I tell people, stay the course. Don't start, you're going to hurt. You're going to cry. Don't give up. Because when you're mistreating a good, I don't care how narcissistic I am. I don't care how many people are paying into me. There's always that one person that's going to wake my butt up. And it happened to me. It's going to happen to others too. And you can't fake it.
So what have you seen her?
Yeah, I haven't seen her in about 10 years, but we talked. Matter of fact, we talked last year and it's been 10 years and it felt good to hear her voice. And she talked about how it was. And, when we were younger and I was like, but you don't have an idea what I was doing. She knew what I did to her, but the other things, so yeah, we talked. I mean, it was very good. It was very soothing to hear her voice because I hadn't heard her voice in a long time because we were really close, but I was just a hot mess,
And you told her you apologized and she accepted your apology.
Yeah. She accepted. I was like, she was way more mature than I was older than her, but she was more mature than I was. I mean, she was very affectionate, loving and caring, all of that. And I was just like, I don't like this, I want to kiss and let's go to the bedroom. But I couldn't give her what she wanted as a man, outside of
the best thing for her life.
Yeah.
What a tangled web we weave. We've heard that before.
Yeah.
But we're on the right path. You're on the right path to make sure everybody is doing the work.
Yeah.
Because that's what's important, right?
Right.
All the people on our side as women, on your side as men, we just have to do the work. And that's the hard part, really admitting what we're dealing with. It's hard to say. It's hard to say it out loud. It's hard to share it with somebody because you don't know how far it's going to go. And
But
really
see,
just one step in front of the other.
yeah, I call it doing the keeping, and you have to do the keeping. You have to do the upbuilding and rebuilding. I don't like using the word work, but you're right, 100%. But you got to keep your woman or your man. You got to rebuild each other, because somebody going like this and somebody's going like that. And no, the narcissist person is one just continuing on because of the lack of empathy, and I believe lack of sympathy too.
Well, stay out of that zone, okay?
Yeah.
Right. I believe that you're doing the work. You know, it was, and I will admit it was very difficult to even have a conversation.
Yeah, I understand.
Because after dealing with the narcissist myself, it's very difficult to gauge what part is for platform and what part is really real. And I honestly don't think that a narcissist can be reformed. However, I do believe what your therapist told you, what you talked about in part 1, which was exchange, do the exchange.
Yes.
And it's like any other addiction, right? You still have to fight that demon, whatever that is, that's got you tied and bound. But with the work, and it's intentional work, you can make a difference.
Yeah. And, you know, making exchanges. And I was like, everything to me was funny, Cheryl. Everything to me was funny. I didn't care. No big deal. Who cares? Whatever. I'm successful. I'm being promoted, awarded, rewarded, whatever. Buy, leave. I had that bad, Cheryl. I had that. That was like the first thing out of my mouth. Like, I don't give a later. I'm out. Ooh. Yeah. So here I am today. Nobody killed me. They could. I've had 2 women try to. Yeah. And so it was just, and I understand when women are triggered, they don't want to talk to me. I get it. I understand, because it's alarming. You know, it's a reminder. It's a harsh reminder of who they were dating or married to, or how he treated them. And he is talking to me, but I'm that dude, you know?
Yeah. But you're standing in the gap. And that's the part that's like, there is a level of therapy. And like I said, I would just being transparent myself, just knowing and having experienced a narcissist, just the idea of the people that I know. Yeah, right. Like, I mean, that's really what I was thinking. And so I didn't want to have any conversation with you prior. If you probably know, I don't know if you noticed it or not, but I just kept it like, I don't want to say anything. I didn't want to have any preconceived notion. I really wanted to hear what you had to say. And I really wanted you to share, because I think part of owning up to what you're dealing with is really admitting that you even did it. And that part is the hardest part of all.
Yeah. When we first talked, you was like, well, wait a minute, hold on. Because I was like, oh, she
Yeah, because I was really, first of all, we talked the first time, it was like, okay, so I'm taking, and every time I have a conversation with somebody, I feel like I'm standing in the stead of those who are going to go after me, right? So I'm always asking questions. But yes, there were some things that you said that were kind of like, they don't make sense to me, because as an empath, right, which is probably the A1 target that you guys look at, but it is so much easier to do the things that you're doing, like love bombing and things like that. It's so much easier to do that because you care about the person. And especially if you deal with a person who cares about you, it seems like that would be easy. But because of the trauma that you've experienced, it's all skewed. So you can't really see the good stuff. You only see it from a power standpoint. So I get it, but it's really disheartening, just because knowing how I am and knowing other people who have dealt with the same thing, it's difficult to understand why a person would see a nice person and treat them bad. So
yeah, they don't think of it as treating her bad.
No, It has no respecter of person. So that's the part that we need to get in our heads as the empaths. First of all, it's not directed to you. It's directed to the behavior of you or the essence of you, I guess, but not necessarily this is Cheryl and I'm going to kill Cheryl's spirit. It's not that. It's that I see the essence of who she is, and that is what's attracting me, which is a weird kind of, it's just a whole weird exchange. But I really do believe, and I agree with you, where the key is the first time you notice it, you got to get out, because it's such a rabbit hole that you're spinning and you flying downhill on skis.
I met two women that I can remember that I paid attention to. They were just like me. Actually, three. And I was like, beautiful, beautiful, pretty on the outside, but ugly and dark on the inside, just like me. And there was no connection, no chemistry. We hung out, we hooked up, whatever, but it was just like, I can imagine, I know what women went through with me. And I would talk to them like, I know what you're going to do. What do you mean? Look, it was just like those women that are pretty like that, but undiagnosed narcissists, I would never date one. Never, ever. We can go to the club, hang out, go eat, and that's it. Boop, get out my car. Because I already know I don't want nothing to do with them. I know. Years ago, yeah, we're gonna cancel each other out, we're gonna ghost each other. I don't care, blood, No, I'm not even into that game no more. I'm not even like playing like that no more. Years ago it was fun and it felt good.
Well, somebody said that's what they want to know. How are you targeted? How are they targeted? I guess they're talking about empath, and then someone else said he could have never played me. So you run the gamut here. But when you talked about, and we talked about this in part 1 as well, about targeting people, right. I think we talked about maybe that person is their response to the things that you do, or it's their verbalizing of the things that they need.
Yeah,
that creates that whole thing.
Yeah, that's what creates it right there. That's why I tell people, women, first of all, don't go on your date. When you're dating, you got a date tomorrow, you're getting all prettied up, getting your hair done. Don't go on a date horny, because you can easily become uninhibited, especially when you're drinking. And then you become a one-night stand. Now your feelings are hurt, and the lack of respect goes down. Ask questions, date.
Stop. Let's talk about the asking of the questions. First date, asking of the questions.
You should, you have to. Why not? What you gonna do? Ask on the third day?
I'm just asking. I'm a clear slate. I'm just asking you, asking of the questions. And when you say asking of the questions, like what kind of things, not what kind of things you like to do, but let's talk about your family. What do you mean by asking questions?
Yeah, talk about. So I would give it a couple of days, and if you starting to feel yourself liking this guy, that's when it starts. But there's no need into doing it like the first time, because you don't even know if he answers the questions right. You may like him, you may not.
Right.
But if you're going to see yourself getting with this guy later on, the next few days, first of all, will he make a second date with you? There's no need to ask all that stuff, do all the work on the first date if y'all not going to date again.
Right. If
he's not going to say, I got reservations for a steak joint this Thursday. Would you like to go? So, you want to enjoy the dinner. You don't want to make it uncomfortable. And maybe the third day you start, but even sitting at dinner.
But at some point you're graduating with regard to getting information. That's what you're basically.
You have to.
Okay.
You have to, because now you're on the third date. That could be the third week. Where are we going? What are we doing? Because I was a serial dater. So I'm a date a variety of women over a period of weeks and months. Right. And you can still think that you're in a running to be with me 3 months later, but I've been dating other women too. I never told you that. So
did you not tell because she didn't ask, or you didn't tell because
both? She didn't ask.
If she asked, would you tell the truth?
No, I would lie. Yeah, I wasn't. No, I'm not. No, if I tell the truth, then she's a supply that I'm not going to be able to get to. This is all before therapy. I just want.
I got you.
I'm not going to tell the truth because she's somebody that just might get away. I have the thrill. Now I got a number. We talking. We texting. So I have an agenda, and it's just to keep her around. I'm attracted to her. I like her hair, her butt, whatever. I'm not going to tell her the truth because it possibly could scare her away. I was really good but bad at that. I'm not telling you the truth straight up now because it may scare you. You may think I'm a player, which I am. You may start disliking me. Now, man, I can't even get a hold of her because she know the truth too soon. Now, if he found out weeks later or months later, I already got you.
You already smashed.
Right. And I'm not like that anymore. So, yeah, that was a big part of it, though.
So now when you get the questions, you just answer them.
Yeah, I tell the truth, because I have to. My ex-wife told me, you should give me a chance to answer my own question, not lie to me so I don't have a choice.
Right.
She said, tell me the truth and let me make my own decision. Don't make.
And it doesn't mean she'll leave.
Exactly. And that's what she said. And
but at least she's informed.
I was 29 years old when she told me that. And I was like, man. I was very
like a lot to tell her.
Huh?
It seemed like a lot you had to tell her.
It seemed like a lot. And actually I did have a lot to tell her. But I was like, I hope she don't just walk away. But I was all over the place, Cheryl.
Well, I'm glad that you're not anymore.
No.
That's what you're telling us.
I am,
I believe.
No.
That's what you're saying. I don't know.
Yeah, that's fair though, because I wish it was like that years ago, but women never really challenged me like that. Because we wasn't talking about this, of course, but it was like I was always talking about myself, building me up and look at me, this is who I am. I'm in the Navy, I'm a recruiter. I got my own place, blah, 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 blah. I was S-H-I-T.
Right. Well, I hope that your journey ends amicably with a young lady that you deserve.
Me too. Yeah, me too. I really want that,
And I believe that you're definitely on your way to helping a whole lot of people. I'm going to have you on when you get your book finished.
Yeah, we'll do. When it's done, I'll send it to the publisher next week. They'll have it between 60 and 90 days, probably more closer to 60. And I want to do a giveaway on your show. I have the books, but you would have to determine how you want to give them away.
Well, I know where one is going.
Okay.
One of the books. I know where one of them is going.
So we'll
talk about the other books.
Okay. We'll do a whole hour on your show because I'm doing everybody that's interviewing me. I'm going to go back and say, hey, I'm going to do a book giveaway on your platform. So you figure out, you have a whole hour and we'll give books away every 10 minutes. Have somebody call in, ask a question. You figure out how you want to give it to them and I'll sign them and I'll mail all the books out. So yeah, we'll do that.
Okay. So everyone that's on the line, you guys heard that. As soon as we get the information from Leon, we will have him back on the show to do a book giveaway, possibly have another conversation. Certainly, if you guys have questions, you know how to get in touch with him. We have his website there. We have his IG. Can we put that up? Okay. His IG information, Instagram information is there. And certainly, if you guys want to get in touch with him or if you have any other questions, please reach out to him. He's a viable resource and he's definitely doing the work. With that, Leon, I do want to thank you again for coming on the show. I would like for you to hold out for just a moment. And everyone's saying great information. They're thanking you for coming on. Leon said leave them the first time. Don't be sitting around trying to figure out whatever.
You can't figure them out, Joe, because they can't figure themselves out. I was like arrogant, conceited, like shunning, like didn't care. Oh, no. If you stay, they're going to realize that this is what you want, so this is what you're going to get. It's just that simple. I never tell people to leave, but if you stay, I'm not going to change. So I'm still going to come in late. I'm still going to smoke weed. Not me. I'm still going to drink. I'm still going to smoke cigarettes, cigars. I'm going to hang out with my boys every Friday. I'm going to do what I want to do. You stay in, you accept that. It's harsh, but that's what happens, sure. I can't make it any clearer.
Yeah. Take heed to the message, everyone. Please take heed to the message.
This guy that's telling y'all this, I was the dude. That's why I can speak so clearly about this narcissism stuff. This is very easy. It's hard because I'm facing it stuff, but it's very easy because of knowledge. I don't have to read anything.
Yeah.
Nothing. I talk to Spanish women. I talk to Asian women. I talk to white women. I talk to women in Brazil, Africa, the Philippines, Turkey. A woman called me from Turkey. Overseas, they're worse because those men are here, little boys are here, and women are down here. Trust me when I tell you, in the Middle East, women are just to bear children. That's it.
That's horrible. That's horrible. So one life at a time, one story at a time, we're going to continue this journey. I have confidence that she'll be right around the corner.
I look forward to it, Cheryl. Well, let me know. We'll do it again. I appreciate you.
All right, you're welcome. Stay there for a little bit. I'll be right back, okay? All righty. Oh my gosh, you guys. So, part 2, done. If you guys have any questions about tonight's episode, feel free to reach out to me. Feel free to reach out to our organization. We always talk about if you're in a situation, domestic violence situation, and you need help and you don't know who to call and it's the middle of the night or any other time during the day, please give the domestic violence hotline a call at 1-800-799-SAFE. There is a live person available to answer your call, answer any questions, and give you the support that you need in this process. But after that, if you have anybody that you want to share this with, please share this podcast. Please go to our Facebook page and join in the conversations. Please go into our YouTube page and make sure that you like and subscribe. We've got an Instagram page. Make sure that you like and follow us on Instagram. We have a lot of things planned for this year. We're taking it up a notch, and we're going to be really delving into some of these topics and some of the subjects that are surrounding domestic violence. For example, the show that we had tonight on narcissistic behavior and narcissistic personality disorder. This is very important because a lot of people think that everything that has to do with domestic violence has to do with emotional, or not just emotional, but physical, and emotional plays a part of that. So all of that being said, we definitely want to thank you for joining us tonight. Again, feel free to watch the replay, share this on your Facebook pages, and let others know that we are here to help. With that, have a wonderful evening. We love you and have a good night. See you later.